At 2:13 a.m., my wife rang our doorbell wearing the same pajamas she was asleep in beside me. I was awake because our daughter, Emmy, had been coughing all night. Nothing serious, just that dry little bark kids get when the weather changes. My wife, Laura, had finally fallen asleep around midnight after giving her medicine, and I was lying there staring at the ceiling, listening to the baby monitor hiss on the bedside table. Then my phone lit up. Front door, person detected. I remember being irritated before I was scared. We lived in a quiet suburb, not rich, not poor, the kind of street where people noticed when you left your bins out too long, but pretended not to hear arguments through open windows. I had installed the doorbell camera after someone stole a package from our porch. I opened the notification. Laura was standing outside, bare feet, grey pajama pants, old blue shirt with the faded sunflower on the chest. Her hair was loose over one shoulder. Her head was tilted down, so all I could see was the pale line of her neck and the top of her face hidden in shadow. Behind her, the street was empty. I turned my head. Laura was in bed beside me. Same grey pants, same blue sunflower shirt, same hair spread across the pillow. For a few seconds, my brain tried to solve it in small, stupid ways. Old footage, glitch, someone hacked the camera. Laura had gotten up and come back so quietly, I hadn't noticed. Then the phone speaker crackled. The woman on the porch lifted her head, and in Laura's tired, soft voice, she said, "Mark, open the door." I dropped the phone onto the blanket. Laura stirred beside me. "Hmm?" I snatched the phone up and muted it with shaking fingers. The feed was still live. The woman outside had not moved. The timestamp read 2:14 a.m. Live. Laura opened one eye. "What is it?" I didn't want her to see it. I don't know why. Some childish part of me thought that if she didn't look, it wouldn't become real. "Mark? Someone's at the door," I whispered. "At this time?" I got out of bed. She grabbed my wrist. "Who is it?" I looked down at the phone. The Laura on the screen was staring directly into the camera now. Her mouth was almost smiling. "I don't know," I said. That was my first lie. I went downstairs with the baseball bat from our wardrobe. I didn't turn the hallway light on. I remember that clearly. The house felt too quiet, like it had been emptied while we slept, and only the furniture had been left behind to pretend everything was normal. At the bottom of the stairs, I stopped. The front door was 20 feet away. There were frosted glass panels on both sides of it. The porch light bled through them in a weak yellow smear. A shape stood behind the glass. Human height, completely still. 3 soft knocks came against the door. Not loud, not desperate. 3 careful taps, like someone imitating how polite people knock. Then Laura's voice came through the door. "Mark, please. Emmy's cold." My stomach turned, because Emmy was upstairs, because Laura was upstairs, because the voice wasn't coming from the doorbell speaker anymore. It was right outside. I backed away until my heel hit the first stair. The shape behind the frosted glass leaned closer. A hand rose and pressed flat against the panel. 5 fingers. Then, slowly, a 6th finger unfolded beside the thumb. I ran upstairs. Laura was already standing in the bedroom doorway, holding Emmy against her chest. Emmy was half awake, red-eyed and confused, her cheek stuck to Laura's shoulder. "What happened?" Laura asked. I shut the bedroom door and pushed the dresser in front of it. "Call the police," I said. Laura looked at my face and didn't argue. The police arrived 13 minutes later. By then, the porch was empty. The camera had recorded everything, except the video file would not play. It showed a thumbnail of Laura standing there with her head down. But when the officer tapped it, the app froze, closed, then reopened to a live feed of our empty porch. He checked the garden, side gate, garage, and street. No footprints, no damage, no sign anyone had touched the locks. I told him someone had come to the door pretending to be my wife. He asked if we had enemies. I said no. He asked if Laura had a sister. She said no. He asked whether either of us had been drinking. We said no. He didn't accuse us of anything. He just wrote in his notebook with the tired face of a man who had already decided what category this belonged in. Before he left, he said, "Cameras glitch more than people think. Keep the doors locked. Call again if anyone comes back." Anyone. That word stayed with me. I didn't sleep. At 5:40 a.m., I checked the app again. There was a new saved clip. It was from 3:02 a.m., while the police had still been in our living room. The clip showed our front porch, empty at first. Then Laura walked out through the front door. Backward. She stepped backward out of the house, as if the footage was reversing, except the timestamp moved forward. She backed across the porch, down the steps, and onto the path. Then she stopped beneath the camera and looked directly up. Her eyes were open too wide. Her mouth smiled, not Laura's smile. Too much gum. Too many teeth. Then the clip ended. I did not show Laura. That was my second mistake. By morning, daylight made the whole thing feel embarrassing. That is what daylight does. It turns terror into something you feel pressured to justify. The kitchen had dishes in the sink. Emmy wanted toast. Laura had work emails. A dog barked 2 houses down. The world kept insisting nothing impossible had happened. Laura asked me 3 times to show her the footage. I told her the app had crashed. She knew I was lying. Around 10, she took Emmy to her mother's house. She said it would be better for Emmy to be away until we figured out whether someone was messing with us. Before she left, Laura paused in the doorway and looked back into the house. She always did that. Hotel rooms, holiday rentals, restaurants where she thought she had left her sunglasses. Even when we had packed everything, she always looked back once before leaving. She kissed me carefully, like she was kissing someone holding a cup too full. After they left, I called the camera company. The technician's name was Amit. He asked for the device serial number, then went quiet while checking the logs. "That's strange," he said. I was standing in the hallway, staring at the front door. "What is?" "Your camera went offline between 2:12 and 3:04 a.m. "No, it didn't. I watched it live." "According to our server, there was no live connection during that window." "I have clips." "Local thumbnails can remain in the app cache." "It spoke through the doorbell." Amit paused. "Sir, the doorbell was offline." The house seemed to go very still around me. Then he said, "There is one thing. Your device registered a manual access request at 2:13 a.m. "What does that mean?" "Someone requested permission to view through the camera." "That was me opening the app." "No, this request came before your app opened." "From who?" Another pause. "It says primary user." "That's me." "Yes, sir." "So you're saying I watched myself ask to watch?" "I'm saying the log is unusual." After that, his voice became careful. Firmware reset, password change, two-factor authentication. All the little rituals people perform when technology brushes against something older than technology. Before hanging up, he asked, "Do you have any indoor cameras?" "No." "Baby monitor? Smart display? Anything connected?" "We have a baby monitor, but it's not Wi-Fi." "Okay." "Why?" His breathing changed. "Your doorbell paired with an indoor video source at 2:16 a.m. "That's impossible." "Yes," Amit said quietly. "That's why I asked." The line clicked, not disconnected. Clicked, like someone else had picked up. Then Laura's voice came through my phone. Far away, under static. "Mark, open the door." I threw the phone onto the couch. For almost a full minute, I stood there listening to my house. The fridge hummed. Pipes ticked in the wall. A car passed outside. Then the baby monitor on the kitchen counter turned on by itself. It gave one soft burst of static, and Emmy whispered through it. "Daddy?" Emmy was at her grandmother's house. I stared at the monitor. "Daddy?" She whispered again. "Mummy's at the window." I didn't move. Then another voice, very close to the microphone, said, "Not that mummy." I unplugged it. The screen stayed on. For 3 seconds, it showed Emmy's empty bedroom. Then her closet door opened from the inside. A woman stepped out. Laura. She didn't walk normally. She came out sideways, shoulder first, as if squeezing through a narrow gap that wasn't there. Her hair hung forward. Her head twitched once toward the camera. She lifted one hand. 6 fingers. Then the screen went black. I left the house. I didn't grab shoes. I didn't lock the door. I just ran outside and stood in the driveway in broad daylight, breathing like I had been underwater. Our neighbor, Mrs. Hanley, was watering her plants. "Everything all right, Mark?" I almost told her. Then I looked at her front window. Laura was standing inside Mrs. Hanley's house, behind the curtain, watching me. Same pajamas, head tilted. I looked back at Mrs. Hanley. She was still in the garden, hose in hand, smiling like nothing in the world had ever been wrong. When I looked at the window again, it was empty. I drove to Laura's mother's house doing 80 in a 50 zone. Laura was there. Real Laura. She was sitting on the floor with Emmy, helping her stack wooden blocks. She looked up when I came in and immediately stood. What happened? I wanted to hug her. I wanted to ask if she was really her. But there is no sane way to ask your wife that without breaking something you may need later. So I said, "We're not going home tonight." Laura took Emmy into the other room and came back alone. Her face had changed. Not frightened exactly. Resolved. "Show me," she said. So I did. The frozen clip. The 302 video. I told her about Amit, the baby monitor, the closet, the window at Mrs. Hanley's. She watched without speaking. When the smiling version of her looked up at the camera, Laura covered her mouth, not because it looked like her, because it didn't. It had her features, but they were arranged with no memory of how she used them. Like a child copying a photograph and getting the eyes almost right. "That's not me," she whispered. "I know." She watched the clip again, then again. On the third time, she grabbed my wrist. "Pause it." I paused. The false Laura was smiling up at the camera. Behind her, in the dark glass of our front door, there was a reflection. Not the porch, not the street. A room. A narrow room with yellow walls. And in that reflection, people stood shoulder to shoulder. Maybe 20 of them. All facing the door from the other side. Their heads were lowered. Waiting. Laura leaned closer to the screen. "Mark," she said. I had already seen it. One of the people in that reflected room was me. I didn't look copied like Laura. I looked terrified. My mouth was open, as if I had been screaming for a very long time. We checked into a hotel near the airport because it was bright, busy, and anonymous. Laura's mother kept Emmy. We told her there had been a security issue at the house. That night, Laura and I sat on opposite sides of the hotel bed, with every light on. Around midnight, Laura said, "What if it follows the camera?" I had deleted the app, changed every password, turned off my phone and put it in the bathroom sink like it was radioactive. "It won't," I said. She looked at me. There is something uniquely horrible about lying when both people know the truth has stopped caring. At 1:52 a.m., the hotel room phone rang. Neither of us moved. It rang 6 times, stopped, then started again. Laura shook her head. "Don't." I picked it up. I don't know why. Maybe fear makes you stupid. Maybe when something impossible calls you, some part of you believes answering gives you control. At first, there was only hallway noise, then a man breathing. Then my own voice whispered, "Mark, don't let Laura sleep." I couldn't speak. My voice continued, fast and shaking. "It waits until you stop watching the face. It doesn't come through doors. It comes through being recognized. Don't say her name when you see it. Don't let Emmy hear it. Don't..." A wet click interrupted. Then Laura's voice said, cheerful and close, "Too late." The line went dead. I turned toward the bed. Laura was sitting upright, staring at the blank television screen. It was off, but in the black reflection, I saw the room behind us. I saw myself holding the phone. I saw Laura on the bed, and I saw another Laura crouched on the ceiling above her. Hands and feet flat against the plaster, hair hanging down, face inches from real Laura's head. In the reflection, ceiling Laura turned and looked directly at me. In the actual room, there was nothing there. I screamed Laura's name. That was my third mistake. The bathroom light blew. The television switched on to grey static. For half a second, the room stretched. The far wall pulled away from us, making the space longer than the building could possibly allow. The static sharpened into an image. Our bedroom at home, our bed, the dresser still shoved against the door. Someone lay beneath the blanket on my side. Someone lay beneath the blanket on Laura's side. Both figures sat up. Me, Laura. Their heads turned toward the screen at the same time. The copied version of me smiled first. I have never hated my own face more. Laura grabbed my hand. The television volume rose. Our copied selves spoke together. "Come home. Emmy's cold." Laura whispered, "Emmy." We ran. We left our bags. My phone, Laura's charger, everything. We took the emergency stairs because neither of us trusted the elevator. At the bottom, the fire exit opened into the hotel parking lot. Except it didn't. It opened into our hallway at home. Same narrow hole. Same laundry basket against the wall. Same framed picture Emmy had drawn of our family as round-headed stick people. At the far end, the front door stood open. Cold air moved through the house. Behind us, from the stairwell above, something began walking down. Slow, bare feet on concrete. Slap, slap, slap. I slammed the fire door shut. When I opened it again, it showed the hotel parking lot. We ran to the car. Laura's mother called as we were pulling out. She was crying. "Mark, did you come by?" "No." "Someone was outside the house." Laura leaned toward the dashboard. "Mum?" Her mother gasped. "Laura." "Mum, listen to me. Do not open the door." "I didn't." "Where is Emmy?" "With me. She's here. She's okay." "What happened?" "It looked like Laura," her mother whispered. "It kept asking for Emmy." Then Emmy's little voice came through in the background. "Nana?" Her mother turned away from the phone. "Stay in the living room, sweetheart," Emmy said. "But Mummy is in the hall." The call cut off. We reached Laura's mother's house in 7 minutes. Too long. Her front door was open when we arrived. Laura's mother stood in the living room with one hand pressed to her chest. She was alive, but her face looked emptied. Emmy sat on the carpet holding her stuffed rabbit. She smiled when she saw Laura, then looked past her. "Mummy came back," Emmy said. Laura knelt in front of her, touching her face, her hair, her arms. "I'm here, baby." Emmy frowned. "No," she said softly. "Other Mummy." I checked every room with a kitchen knife in my hand. Nothing. No broken windows. No wet footprints. No open closets. Only the smell in the hallway. like rainwater left too long in a bucket. Laura's mother said she had seen it through the peephole first. Laura standing on the porch, crying. Then it walked away. A minute later, she heard Laura's voice from inside the house, from the hallway outside Emmy's room. When I asked Emmy what happened, she said, "Mummy told me not to look at her face." Laura started crying. "What else did she say?" I asked. Emmy hugged her rabbit tighter. "She said Daddy knows the way now." I felt something inside me go still, because I understood. Not fully, not enough to explain, but enough. It had not chosen Laura first. It had used Laura because I would open the door for her. It had used Emmy's voice because I would answer. It had shown me myself in that reflected room because some part of me was already there, and the footage of Laura walking backward out of our house was not a recording. It was instructions. We went back to our house because Emmy's inhaler was still in the upstairs bathroom, and after the coughing, neither of us was willing to risk being without it. Laura's mother refused to stay alone, so she came with us. I did not reconnect the doorbell camera. It turned on anyway as we pulled into the driveway. Laura's mother's phone chimed. Front door. Person detected. She didn't have the app. None of us did. The notification showed our porch, our front door, me standing outside, head down. Laura looked at me in the driver's seat, then at the thumbnail. The copied me slowly raised one hand toward the doorbell button. At the same moment, from somewhere inside the house, our actual doorbell rang. Once, I told them to stay in the car. Laura grabbed my sleeve. No, but I had to know. I walked to the porch with the knife down at my side. The door was closed. No one was there. Then I heard 3 careful taps from inside the house, against the other side of the door. I leaned close. My own voice whispered through the wood. "You have to let me out before she learns you." I couldn't breathe. "Who are you?" A sad laugh came from inside. "You still think that matters?" The door handle turned. It opened 6 inches, stopped on the chain lock, and through the gap I saw an eye. My eye. Red-rimmed, wet, terrified. Behind it was darkness, and behind the darkness, people breathing. My voice whispered, "Don't trust the one that came back from the hotel." The chain snapped. The door flew open. The hallway was empty, but every picture frame on the wall had changed. Our family photos were still there, but wrong. In one, Laura stood beside me at the beach, smiling too wide. In another, Emmy sat on Santa's knee with 6 fingers raised in a wave. In our wedding photo, Laura's face was turned away from the camera, looking toward something behind the photographer, and in the picture Emmy had drawn of our family, there were now 4 figures: Mummy, Daddy, Emmy, and another Daddy standing behind the house. Laura screamed from the car. I ran back. The rear car door was open. Emmy was gone from the back seat. Laura was chasing a small figure toward the side gate. Pink pajamas, bare feet. Emmy. I ran after them. The gate opened into the narrow passage between our house and the fence. But when I turned the corner, the passage was longer than it should have been, much longer. The morning light disappeared behind us. The concrete under my feet became old carpet, yellow walls pressed in on both sides. At the far end stood Emmy, facing away. Laura was a few steps ahead of me. "Emmy," she sobbed. The child turned. It was not Emmy. It had Emmy's pajamas, Emmy's hair, Emmy's stuffed rabbit clutched in one hand, but its face was Laura's. Adult, smiling, too many teeth. It lifted one finger to its lips. Behind us, our real Emmy screamed from inside the house. We turned and ran. The passage snapped short again. Fence, concrete, morning light. Inside, Emmy was in the living room with Laura's mother, crying into her lap. She swore she had never left the car. She said she blinked, and suddenly she was inside. That was when I understood the worst part. It wasn't trying to get in anymore. It was teaching us that in and out were just habits. For 3 days, we lived with every light on. We covered mirrors with towels, unplugged screens, took batteries out of remotes, kept Emmy between us at all times. But the house kept remembering devices we did not own. A radio in the walls played Laura humming from a room with no radio. The microwave displayed flashed messages. She looks best asleep. Mark opens doors. Emmy hears both mothers. On the third night, Laura disappeared for 11 minutes. I was looking right at her when it happened. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, holding a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. Emmy was asleep in a blanket nest under the table because she refused to be alone in any room. Laura said, "I don't think we are supposed to survive this." Then the lights dimmed. Not off. Dimmed. Like the house took a slow breath. Laura's chair was empty. Her mug was still steaming. I grabbed Emmy and ran through the house screaming Laura's name. At minute 9, the baby monitor in the sink turned on. We had smashed it the day before. Its cracked screen glowed blue. Laura appeared on it. She was standing in the narrow, yellow room. People surrounded her shoulder to shoulder, heads lowered. Some looked like neighbors. Some looked like strangers. One looked like me. One looked like Laura's mother. Several were children. All of them had their eyes closed except Laura. She stared into the camera and whispered, "Mark, don't answer me when I come back." Then the screen went black. 2 minutes later, Laura walked in through the front door. Barefoot, grey pajama pants, blue sunflower shirt, head lowered. I stood at the end of the hallway with Emmy behind me. Laura lifted her head. Her eyes were red from crying. Only 5 fingers on each hand. "Mark," she said. "It showed me where it keeps the almost people." I did not answer. She took one step toward me. "I'm me." I covered Emmy's ears. Laura started crying harder. "Please." That was when I noticed it. The sunflower on her shirt was on the wrong side, like a reflection. My real wife, or the thing wearing my real wife, saw me notice. Her face broke, not into a smile, into grief. "I tried," she whispered. Then every covered mirror in the house fell at once. The towels dropped. Dark windows turned reflective. The dead television flickered alive. Every surface showed Laura, standing beside me, behind me, above me, in the hallway, on the stairs, outside the front door, inside Emmy's room. Dozens of Lauras, some crying, some smiling, some with too many fingers, some with no face at all. Emmy screamed, "Daddy, which one is Mummy?" And all of them answered together, "I am." I don't remember deciding to run. I remember carrying Emmy. I remember Laura behind me, or beside me, or calling from upstairs. I remember Laura's mother praying so loudly it stopped sounding like words. I remember the hallway stretching. I remember my own voice begging from inside the walls not to leave her there. We reached the car. Laura came with us. I think. That is the part I cannot make clean. The woman who got into the passenger seat had 5 fingers. Her shirt was right. She knew the song I made up for Emmy when she was a baby. She knew the hotel where I proposed. She knew the scar on my knee came from falling off my bike at 13. But when we drove away, she did not look back at the house. Laura would have looked back. We moved 2 towns over. A developer bought the old house cheap because he already owned the lots beside it. It was boarded up within a week and knocked down before winter. For a while, that helped. No house, no hallway, no porch, no doorbell. Laura got quieter after that. Not all at once, just little absences. She stopped mid-sentence and stared at dark windows. She asked questions she already knew the answers to. She stopped sleeping on her left side. She stopped humming in the shower. Emmy loved her the same, which made me feel cruel for watching. 6 months passed. Then, last Tuesday, our neighbor installed a doorbell camera. I saw him doing it after work. He smiled and said crime was getting bad everywhere. That night, my phone lit up. I had no camera app installed. No smart devices connected. Just a blank notification with no icon. Front door. Person detected. I opened it. The video showed my old porch, the demolished house, the front door standing upright in an empty dirt lot. Laura stood still in front of it. The real Laura. Dirty, thin, barefoot, blue sunflower shirt torn at the collar. Her hair had gone grey at the temples. She looked up at the camera. Behind her, through the open doorway, I saw the yellow room filled with people. Laura whispered, "Mark, that isn't Emmy." From the bedroom behind me, my daughter laughed in her sleep, not like a child, like my wife.